Associate Professor of History, Vehbi Baysan, you were saying that the importance of this day started way back before 1922.
Well, absolutely, because, after the World or Great War in 1918, Ottoman Empire, came out as probably one of the losers. But what's important here is that the Ottoman Empire lost so much territory, went down or scaled down from 21 million square kilometers and lost control. So we are at the moment where nation lost hope for anything, any state, and that you can imagine. So a group of people did not accept that, and they started War of Independence. That we mark it as 19 May 1919. That's all. They said that why should we accept what's imposed on us? Where if you look at Anatolia, occupied by French, occupied by Italians, as well as the Greeks, as you mentioned, and they set off. And now we are celebrating their victory. They could have lost. They knew that, and they would pay heavy price. But they said it's worth a try. And I think, therefore, nothing much matters for the nation of Turks or Turkiye more than the independence and statehood. So therefore, it marks a significant victory, no doubt about that. But every year we celebrate it to, first of all, remember those who took a great chance. They had almost nothing to defend themselves, let alone to start a war against the occupiers. But yet they did that. And obviously, thousands of martyrs, let me call them shahid, died, lost their lives, so that the forthcoming generations can have a state where the flag signifies the independence, and also calling that this is my territory, the borders are here, and we are a nation, and we did it.
And that happened in 1923.
Yes, by the declaration of Republic and all the rest of it. And obviously after that we have set of changes in the nation state, Turkey's nation state. Therefore, this signifies the 30th of August, because that's when was a decisive victory. And thereafter, saying that this is the borders of Turkey, we call it Misak-ı Milli, and the oath, national oath, which means that we have no claim for any other territory, and this is where we are, and this is where we're going to stay.
And talk to us a bit about, because we keep on hearing the word of independence, obviously a very significant word, giving ode to what this day means. But we're 103 years on from when this republic was formed. Give us some insight into the sentiment that we're hearing over the years and how far this country has come in 103 years.
Oh, yes. But first of all, I'd like to mention something very, very important. Once the Turkish nation state was established in 1923, whatever has been done by us, with the success and failures. But that's why it's very important. The policies we developed, actually, it was our own policies. Because let's remember that we were never lived under occupation. So no one dictated us how to live. So that's why it is extremely significant that this is our own product. In terms of education, if you look at the history of education in the early republic and until today, and development, economic development and social development, as well as now we hear a lot about taking active role in establishing peace in the Middle East, in the region. So that's extremely important. So we have the capacity and capability with our engineers, with our universities, with our also decision makers. So that's extremely important, and let's remember that Turkey was also seen as a model for many years. I mean, in 2010, 2012, because I remember at that time in the Middle East I used to join in programs. Why is that? Because Turkey showed that it can be done, as long as so far as you have the will and desire to really make the progress, and also where possible let other nations to benefit from that. I'm not talking about exporting or imposing, but let others also benefit from that. And also, unfortunately, we are living in a very volatile or we have a very volatile geostrategic position. Everyone knows that.
That actually brings me to my next question, because I wanted to ask you where the drive comes to be able to become one of the most powerful and fastest growing nations in this region.
It is. Well, actually, stability matters a lot for Turkey. We have 450 kilometers border with Syria, and you know that bloody war in Syria caused almost half the nation either to become a refugee or you become displaced people within the country. And Turkey opened its borders, and up to 5 million Syrians were hosted in Turkey. Now, why I say this? Because our politicians kind of have this habit of not really, mentioning too much about their successes. Maybe it's a cultural thing, but I think I have the liberty, I'm not a politician, so I can talk about it. We hosted here 5 million Syrian brothers and sisters. And many of them, this is extremely important, at times of attack or extreme crisis, the borders were open and all these people came in. Many of them came in without a passport, so without any ID, etc., because it was a humanitarian aid. So their lives mattered more than the bureaucracy. They were not going to go back to Damascus and ask for a passport to come here. So anyhow, that's one thing. Other thing is Iraq. We have, again, a very long border with Iraq. And in the past also we had refugees coming on. When you look at Iran, also under sanctions and all that, if you go up north, Russia and Ukraine, like we are living in an environment, you always need to be creative and you always need to mediate, as we are doing now between Russia and Ukraine, and negotiations taking place, but also very humanly doing it. This is where I like to mention the grain deal, when Russia was refusing any Ukrainian grain to go out, but people were really suffering, and a couple of phone calls from our politicians, namely Mr. Erdogan, just, the problem was resolved. These things are extremely important and worth mentioning.
Indeed. Well, this day is celebrated in honor of course, the founding father of the Republic of Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, and the soldiers who fought alongside him. Professor Vehbi Baysan, thank you so much for being with us on this historical day.